Hey everybody, this is Rydo and we're back to Torchlight. So I did install the app that would remap keyboard inputs to an Xbox 360, Xbox One controller. Unfortunately, I had said this game was a WASD game. It really isn't, because when I hit A, it turns off auto map. When I hit W, nothing happens. When I hit S, it brings up the skills. When I hit D, I hit that. So it's not WASD to move the character. So you would guess, well, maybe it's JKLI, which would be the other side. When you hit J, you get your journal. KL does nothing. I brings up your inventory. So you're thinking to yourself, well, maybe it's the arrow keys up, down, left, and right. I am pressing all of those. They're doing nothing. Maybe it's the number keys 4, 6, 2, 8 on the number pad. No. Nothing happens there. So, as far as it seems, even though this game played perfectly fine with an Xbox controller on Xbox Live, they never patched in any support whatsoever for it on the PC. Which this is something that sadly did happen 10 years ago when this game came out, where you would have the PC master race style of gamers out there that says you have to play with a mouse and keyboard. The good news is most people don't make that argument anymore, and if they are making that argument, they're almost certainly trolling. But yeah, I could certainly mess with it. I can move the mouse around with the controller and then assign a single button to press the left button to walk somewhere, but that's kind of the only way you can walk in this game. Which I don't even feel like that's the experience that you had with Diablo. I feel like you had a better experience with more options. This demon, by the way, is around for seemingly forever at this point. Maybe it doesn't seem like it's constantly draining my mana, although I did find that there was a spell, if I right click I can do that and that can drain my mana, but then you can see it is slowly going up by itself. So I already have auto generating mana anyways. So all of that setup really is just a long story short to say I'm forced, at least in Torchlight 1, to play with a mouse and keyboard, which is
a trap has been sprung.
Which is something that I guess I'm fine with doing for a while.
You have gained in experience.
It's also worth mentioning that your experience fills up this bar at the bottom. Tab switches what your right mouse button does, by the way, too. So if I hit tab now, I can summon this and see if I do that, that will get rid of all of our mana. But it seems to me like this nether imp just doesn't ever go away. Until it dies. So you have this like summon spell that seems to be rather helpful. And then that's it. Oh yeah, we forgot about that. We are going heavily, I suppose, down the route of this requires level 5. But does that mean I have to put 5 points into Nether Imp to get down to Pet Mastery, then put another 5 levels to get down to Charm Spell Mastery, to then put in the points to get all the way here? I almost hope that I can re-roll at some point, because it would make a lot more sense to take this right now. The +1 the mage equipment requirements, plus 4% mage damage, or take this, which reduces the requirements, improves the armor and armor absorption, which I don't. I'd rather be aggressive than defensive, so I'm gonna take this. And this is just a passive skill, as I understand it. And while we're at that, I think we have an increased ability otherwise, so we just want to keep on increasing our magic. Just try to get that up as much as possible until we learn something different. There almost is something to the idea of making a mobile game around this, because it would theoretically just be tapping on the screen, which the input is always the problem with mobile games. Questioning whether you want to have somebody spend a significant amount. Let's go ahead and close that. Just don't no reason to play with that on. So yeah, I could see a mobile game where you're tapping a lot, but I could also see that not really working very well. This section seems incredibly familiar, because it is seemingly like there are very few reactions or areas that are getting cut and pasted. There's a mimic. I didn't even know mimics were in the game. We've discovered a socketable item. Socketable items imbue your armor and weapons with abilities. We're still very early in the gameplay. A loop here. Let's go and talk to this guy who's Brink. We were supposed to help him.
Send you after me? She must have thought I was in over my head again. Well, she's right. These monsters are getting stronger and I could use your help. I'm going after the fiend that was attacking Syl on the bridge. Will you join me?
Sure. So now we've got a human companion on top of a demon companion and the dog, so they're speeding up the abilities and the actions pretty quickly. There is an accelerated experience here to this. I want to look at my inventory for a second though. Let's see. Identify scroll. This will require dexterity 8, but you gotta identify anyways. So, leather mantle. We kind of just need to identify. So this does 60 damage and it requires dexterity 11, where this would require dexterity 8, which I don't have. Where my small bow would do a little bit better, so we can put that in there. This has a socket though, so I could have socketed it, but it's pretty much way too early to do anything like that.
That isn't possible.
And you can't accidentally identify something that doesn't need to be identified. Right. We have a leather cap for 3, or this mantle for 2, plus dexterity attribute bonus. I doubt though, if I were to look at my skills, which would be S, not my skills, what is it, character sheet, what is my dexterity at right now? It's at 12 to 23 because of some ability I have, but that's not good enough.
I can't do that.
Yeah. And putting this helmet on, which I guess, what is this then? This is a leather cap and this is a helmet that goes over that. Interesting. guess that does then allow me to use this 28 over this 29. If there was any reason why I'd want it, though. It's a slower attack speed. So you can see that there's an inherent danger here, even though we are kind of having a faster experience. We're still running into a lot of getting into the weeds and playing menu hero. This is what a lot of Borderlands boil down to also, is that you would end up just having to take these long breaks, where ideally I'd like to see this so sped up as a procedure that that I could run towards the 5th level here, and ignore the earthquakes. They are not really, I think, an indicator of any real danger. We found a spell scroll. Right click on the scroll to drop it into one of your spell slots to learn it. You'll get a new ability. I wonder if I'll learn the identify spell that way, so I'll just find a spell scroll. Alright. So, identify scroll. Right click, then left click. Now that's just a regular identify scroll. So, spells. Frost 1. Right click to learn the spell. We've now learned Frost 1 as a spell, which means we can now assign that out as a new thing. Put it here under number 5 too. Also, make sure we grab everything, because we are kind of a little bit too zoomed out in the camera. I can see it 10-20% closer without it really affecting much. Brink here, you can see he's a heavy hitter, and as such, there's you're in a pretty good position with him. He's gonna just probably hold your hand through the entirety of the first fight. And I believe different level fishing holes will give you different level fish, but honestly, there was never a point here that it felt like the fishing was worth the time. So it's kind of silly that there's a mini game in this. I suppose it beats the lockpicking mini game, particularly since in this case you can ignore it rather easily. See, I think you're supposed to actually watch the animation a little bit more than watching the fish, but maybe not. So I either screwed it up 2 times before then, or that there was just a level of randomness with the fishing. But getting 8 or 16 gold from a fish is not going to be useful. The tasty meat fish is a health, so I suppose that could be useful. But feeding this into our dog, let's just transforms your dog into a demon, so yay for that. It doesn't really make much sense. It might be something you do right before a boss, and you know, if we ran into a boss on the 2nd level relatively quick from this point, and then we got, that would be a decent amount of experience, and I imagine finishing quests and returning to the city And at that point, that's probably when you want to start using the identify scrolls and looking at your items. And here we have a rock troll that's level 2, and just by the means of being a rock troll, he took 3 hits, whereas everything else has taken a considerably smaller amount of hits. I've been one-shotting things. Now, again, important to point out, I'm playing on easy, so I feel like I probably played this originally on normal, and really never really struggled at all throughout the entirety of the game. Maybe I ran into like one boss that was a bit of a problem, and that would be about it. There's a level of glowing that I think would be better in this too. If pickups were highlighted a little bit more on the ground and then weren't so easy to be overlooked. Again, if the camera was zoomed in, there's the dog turning back to his regular form. Yeah, there's just a lot of stuff on the ground once the dead bodies start filling things, and sometimes there's things on the ground before you even start killing things, so you have to be careful. We're also starting to see an increase by far of... Just use my right click spell on them.
My inventory is full.
Alright, so now our inventory is totally full. Yeah, we're getting skeletons in barrels, which is
My
starting
inventory is full.
to be an issue. It is interesting, to say the least, that you don't, in a game like this, ever really get to a point where you expand your inventory too much. I know in Diablo you eventually get some of that, but not a lot. Let's see. 48 blade. Well, that's better than what we've got, so we might as well equip it. 41 stout club. An unidentified ring. Increase in gold find. I cannot argue with that. Let's see. Leather boots versus leather boots. We can drop that. We don't have any interest in that. Leather boots. We can drop that. Let's see. You know what? It probably wouldn't be too bad if we pulled out the dog here, and let's just start looking at things we're not going to use. So we're not going to use this rotten crossbow. We're not going to use the practice bow. We're not going to use the small cannon. We might use the shotgun, but it requires some dexterity improvements. Not going to use this. We're not going to use this. 29 versus 48. Not going to use this. And not going to use this. Leather gloves versus leather gloves of the winds. Nope. There. 43. The guns apparently degrade armor, and maybe that's the idea around them. Let's see. The meat, I guess we'll hold on to. This staff would do 55 damage. So this solid staff is better than what that is. And this is a slow attack speed versus an average attack speed. And this does poison damage, though, so we'll stick with that. We've got a gym here, a gym here, and a gym here. We've got this. Got quite a lot of health and mana. And that. And the game kind of pauses when you have both menus up, but it doesn't pause when you have just one menu up. Interesting. You could, on a mobile game, I see playing from this angle. That seems reasonable. But now let's pick these other items up. And did we get everything? Let's go back to our inventory. We needed to increase our dexterity. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 on dexterity seems good. And then we have one more point where this would require level 5. So do we want to improve our magic weapon requirements? Do we want to improve the nether imp, which our nether imp seems to be doing fine by itself, or do we want to improve our armor requirements? I think we do the improvement on the armor requirements, and that way we have a little bit of an improvement on weapons, a little bit on armor, and hopefully we'll eventually get down to the point where we're bartering and treasure hunting to get better items. But you probably are at an extremely late game experience at this point once you have treasure hunter, and that probably means you're getting worse and worse pickups anyways, just because there's less variety and less items. I also am a little interested in seeing how many spells I can learn, because it kind of looks like there's not as many as you would think.
A trap has been trapped.
So when you're attacking with a sword and a barrel, it seems like you can still hit it with your shield and not cause it to really hurt you. Alright, let's make sure we get everything. You kind of have to assume here that we are going to run into a boss in this next floor, floor 3 instead of floor 5. Definitely feels like we're getting an accelerated experience. I don't know why you really needed this glowing thing to click on when you could have had a button on the side, just up the stairs, just a bell that went ding, instead of having a glowing magical portal. Let's see. 26. Interesting. The stout club and the sword I'm dual wielding. So if I had a little bit more strength, I could wear that. I should have identified this. This tunic would be slightly better than that tunic. And we've got several other unidentified things. 60 here. Right, so bring up his inventory again. We don't know about this, we don't know about this. This helmet versus this helmet. Let's see, what does this increase? +1 mana and +1 dexterity bonus. Let's not get rid of that. But let's see if this can replace that. 3 with 3. Yeah, it was the same thing anyways. This weapon can go here. This leather vest is 6. This leather vest is 5. So you have this weird split inventory. This is an average attack speed, the bumping skull head shotgun. which seems like it would be a fine thing to use. Of course, the problem of having a health potion and then tasty fish meat and then potentially large health potions and medium health potions are that you're going to end up taking a lot of space up. Yeah, that's a shotgun. That's a nice and fast shotgun. And ideally in almost every game I'm looking for something that gives you range, because then you can do damage and be aggressive while not risking hurting yourself. This door seems to lead to, what is this? Shrine of Enlightenment. Place an item to enchant. Alright, here we go. Enchant.
Fortune smiles on you.
And so now I have a pretty nice enchanted weapon. We've got a large guy. I'm going to use my magic a little bit more. Let's see. We've got all kinds of things on the ground. So this is another one of those sections where we were kind of rewarded for taking on a little bit more of a challenge on easy mode. Now, who knows how much more of a challenge this would have been otherwise. I don't think these ever refill, so that was my chance. And I don't really know what changed here, but something clearly did. So, let's see. We are, bring up the dog's inventory, I guess, again. We're in a terrible position because we just kind of don't know. This blade is now trash. We can't reveal anything on any of these. So all of our money is going to be spent because of that. So this is totally the time to use this town scroll. Right. Back to the town scroll we go, sitting on the items that we have, because we're not ready for that.
Hello, friend.
Right. So there's something missing here. I guess I could hold shift, it said, and click on all of these. So it would be nicer though if you just had a sell all button. There really is no reason for that otherwise.
Watch your back.
Is there a new storefront somewhere that would identify things for me? I don't even think I've finished a quest. So,
Oh, hello.
like, identify scrolls. I need a whole bunch of them. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Like, all my money is going to be spent on this. So, yeah, major funding just to get identified scrolls until we can
That isn't possible.
find a spell
I
that
can't do that.
needs to be identified. Here we have, like I said, health potions, big health potions, super health potions.
Good journey.
Drawn here by the lure of Ember?
Did not mean to
Perhaps
click
my
on that.
master was as well. Master Ulrich called me here. There's no sign of him in town. These creatures ambushed us as we were about to enter the mines.
So
Have attacked all
it's
as well.
it's kind of a weird experience you have.
He
You
would not be overcome so
you get this choice to pick
new
as
kind
one
of
of
question
3
the townspeople
hero
in the
classes
capital
characters,
Link has
and
been
then
here for a
you're
long time now.
immediately at
Please,
least
watch over
introduced to 2 other heroes that are the real heroes of the story from what what it seems. Swift Chaos Gem. I have a cracked cold ember here. One of those. And one of those. Yeah, I think it will be quite a while before we have enough items for that to make any sense.
What can I do for you?
We could try to enchant other items. It would probably cost us more money than it's worth,
All right.
though.
Hiya!
What we're looking for is not the map scrolls, but spells. Heal all 2 would not be a terrible spell, but we very well might get all of these spells anyways. So buying a cracked life ember may be a smart move, but maybe not. I'm not sure if that makes a lot of sense either. Right. So what we need to do is look at the rings. We have one here that is +4 +2 fire damage +2 mana. We can hold 2 rings anyways. We can also bring up the dog and not forget that he can wear rings also. Increased experience gain trumps that immediately. So we'll put this ring on the dog. We have here a +2 strength +2 damage reflect boots with 3 armor, which beats that, so that'll go on. And that'll go there. This does 56 damage, so that won't work. We have a buckled gloves of the owl that are +4 arms but requires more defense. I could probably do that, but I don't know why I specifically would want that, other than it's just socketed for 2 sockets. It's actually less than, well, no, it's double our gloves. Alright, so we could think about that. Ice resistance +24 health, or increase gold find, increase this. So this ring goes on the dog, too. +25 health versus +2 strength attribute bonus. And 2 damage reflect. Probably don't need health too much. The only other thing we can place here is I guess he can also learn 2 spells, so we could get spells for the dog too, which is kind of cool that you have this dog that can do all these things. If I can get the strength up to 12 though, I can use this, and if I could get the defense up to 7, I could use this. This tunic is 8 armor, where this is 6, so that works there. So we're already up to like green colored rarity items for a lot of the things that we have. We just haven't found a helmet, a amulet, sash, this leather shoulders, which is shoulder armor, which I don't even know what is shoulder armor. I guess that's what this is. Let's see, that's 2, but this would be 3. So this is better. Alright. And we're gonna have to see how much it is to sell the fish, because I really don't need a slot here full of fish. If anything, well, it does have slightly better effects but for like a boss fight or something. But I honestly don't know when I would use that. Just put the like fish there. Alright, so now we're looking for a strength of 12, a defense of 7. So, strength of 12 would require us to do 4 out of the 5 points we have there. And then defense would require 2 out of that. So, which do I want as far as which is a better update? This defense of 7 or this? I think we could sell this. It's only a slight bump. And then we go with defense of 7. And then let's see. This would increase melee damage, where this would increase magic damage. How much of damage does this really do? This does physical damage, which I assume is melee damage. So, yeah, we'll go defensive 7. We'll put this here. And then back to this.
What can I do for you?
And sell the rest of this. Here, just using the shift button will be way easier. It's becoming pretty obvious. I'll need to buy a bunch of identified scrolls. Heal all 2 would require level 7 and about 800 more. Fireball 1 I could learn. Elemental protection. I could buy this necklace but not wear it. Identify spell. Here we go. $3,905 of gold. That's what we're going for. That's
Bye-bye. What can I do for you?
That's what we're
See you
saving
later.
for. Man, it is hard to get out of that menu.
Hi there.
So meanwhile, I'm just gonna stock up, and 20 apparently is the maximum you can have in any amount. So until it stops stacking. So,
Good day to you.
Drawn here by
so that's another thing to keep in mind. And yeah, another example of just getting stuck in the weeds and having to do inventory management. What is here? Well, apparently I forgot to do this. So at this point, we could purchase either Thorn minions. Your minions are imbued with the energy to reflect the damage inflicted on them. 25% damage inflicted. Or increase your pet damage and minion damage, their armor, and decrease their pet travel time. The thing here is, because I have an SSD hard drive, and I actually decompressed my SSD hard drive just between last episode and this, just to speed it up a little bit more, because I had a little bit more space to where I could do that. The travel time for a pet is probably still going to be a couple of minutes. I don't think I'm ever sending my pet to sell items. I really don't think I'm ever doing that. I think I'm always going to just have a town scroll and go back and sell items myself. And the penalty there is an arbitrary penalty. I guess, though, I do want the minion and pet damage versus reflected damage, and I do want to eventually get down to barter and treasure master. The other options would be critical strike and ice shock, or ember shield, or martial weapons expertise. Yeah. Excuse me. So, yeah. There we go. We've got to be close to a boss fight. I feel it kind of in my bones. On the other hand, if we aren't really close, then we're going through levels that all feel rather similar, and we're getting into conflicts that I guess 10 years ago might have been reasonable and fast and quick, but nowadays you could argue are just a little bit too repetitive. It's a difficult balancing act that changes over time with people's time management and their desire for what they want in a game. There's definitely points in which people wanted things to be super grindy, but that changed. That changed quite a bit. And now I really wouldn't want something this grindy. It certainly explains why you have something like the Elder Scrolls Online, which is Skyrim effectively, but with online capabilities and the potential for constant uploads or updates, not uploads, although maybe some uploads too. And there's not really a lot of people interested in playing Elder Scrolls Online, or too many people, frankly, even interested in playing Warcraft. A better, more accurate example of that is right now they're baiting the original servers of classic World of Warcraft, and people are reporting functions that were exactly like the way they were when the game came out originally, World of Warcraft came out, and they're reporting them as bugs because they expect there to be mods and things that sped up the process and eliminated the grinding. And if you wanted to play a clicker game, which is kind of what this is, like, in a funny way, this kind of is just...
You have gained fame.
Apparently I killed a named minion there. The fame system, I don't think really does too much. Maybe gives you a little bit better discounts in stores. Maybe it's for a new game plus element. But yeah. Yeah, effectively this is a clicker game. This is taking elements from a dungeon crawler and taking elements from a clicker, and
You have completed a task.
so that was a named character, and that was a health well, which barely looks any different from what the wells in Diablo looked like. And eventually you probably are going to run into some kind of monster that could easily be classified as a demon, since we're already fighting with imps and such. There's a lot of big mainstream video game journalists that are obsessed with Cthulhu-esque stories, and certainly a lot of game developers obsessed with Cthulhu-esque stories, so making a game around those kind of enemies, I'm actually a little surprised nobody hasn't done that already. But as long as you're crawling dungeons, there's a pretty heavy just assumption that you're going to be fighting demons. Unless of course you're playing something like Dungeon Keeper and you are the demon and then you're fighting against the heroes. Which even that flip on the story is not a big difference. But it hasn't been done before. If you started at the bottom of a hellish dimension and you were going up each floor to Earth, that would be great. And then you could have maybe an Act 2 at some point where you fought on Earth against heroes, and then an Act 3 where you're fighting against like angels and going all the way up to heaven. Alright, so we've got another level here. So, -2 armor equipment requirements. I think we should go with that because I think what that's gonna do is just continue to let me equip my items better, which is where I think I want to be. You can see the balance here is a little off on what was being dropped because we have this traveling merchant, but we had to go to the store to sell our items, and we're kind of already again ready to sell items. Let's see. So you have a leather belt for 2. We can just stick that there. We have a 41 charge scepter. We're not going to use that. I don't think we can get away from the shotgun for a while. We can identify this and then stack that into that. We can identify this one. And these two need to be identified also. Right, this one does 52 damage. And it's showing you a comparison anyway, so I don't even need to go back up and look. It's showing you what's equipped, which is nice. So just have to look at it, hover over it, and see that these are just weapons that aren't as good. If this was an enchanted forearmor, I would use it. This is nothing. This is increase all potion damage by 2%. So it's slightly better, but not something I'd actually use. And then this defense is way better. So put this here. So we're starting to get into the purple rare levels. Now I play Minecraft, not Minecraft, Hearthstone every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, and they have commons, rares, epics, and legendaries, and really they just need commons and legendaries in that case, because it's a card game with just different cards of arguably not very different values. Whereas a game like this, it makes a lot more sense to have different styles of drops. Now, are we getting better or worse deals talking to a traveling merchant? I don't know. I suspect it's probably exactly the same. Let's see, we'll buy 3 of these, and those were 25. And we don't want that ring, we don't want that ring. These map scrolls, really, we could buy them, but they're too expensive. We don't need that necklace. Summon zombies we don't need. It wouldn't hurt me to probably have more town portals, but I'll eventually pick them up. I suppose once you start getting to New Game Plus elements, you just have so much money on you that you can buy cracked gems and transmute them. See, even that big guy is starting to run into a level where it's not he's not really doing anything. Alright, so where do we want to go with this? We have potentially more magic we can do, increase our magic more, or we could try to keep our melee the same, but we're always gonna do more magic. So like, this is the 3 character classes in a nutshell. The strength for the brawler, range damage for the ranged lady, and this for the magic. So you pretty much barely need to even touch strength and dexterity unless you have a specific item that you're trying to equip. It's really just going to come down to defense and magic. So let's go 1, 2, 3 to get it up to 10, and then like this. And I guess I could... No, you can't change anything else past the 5 that you're adding right now. And then we'll just continue to decrease our weapon requirements. And I probably could have increased the pet mastery, but I don't really want to. And I guess at some point when we get to level 10, we'll see if we can skip this entire tier and put something into like adventurer, because adventurer here is increased experience gain at level 10 and increased fame gain at level 10 is probably better than anything we can get otherwise, because it's going to be level 20 before we can get the barter. I had just not seen that, otherwise I would have been working towards that goal. And we're down to another level, another loading section. The load is pretty slow considering how the level layouts seem to be exactly the same. I feel like I remember this taking longer. I guess also since this is a 10-year-old game, there wasn't any DLC or added elements that would have added more experience, or anything significant as far as an experience.
Now I have you. What have you done with Ulrich?
So he's fighting against a skeleton.
I am here, Brink. I sent for Syl, but I don't recall inviting you or your friend. You may still prove useful, however. Be still!
So Ulrich is turned into a bad guy. So he gets turned into a monster, and we probably should use our spells on him. Brink the Corrupted. So we're about to run out of mana, and he's not really doing anything as far as damage to me. So that took a full amount of mana to kill him.
Brink, no! What has happened? Alas, my friend.
So you can just accept what she said, I guess.
You say this is Ulrich's doing? Then his summons was a trap.
Odd it was accept instead of just
The corruption
okay.
here must have overwhelmed his mind. I can't believe it's so powerful. Yes, yes, I see it's touched you as well. Light is spreading through you, and if we don't find a way to stop it, you'll meet the same fate as Brink. I'm sorry I brought you into this. I'll do my best to cure you. Meet me in Torchlight, and I'll tell you my plan.
You have gained a task.
So all I wanted to do is come over to this chest,
The trap.
and you can see the dog and the imp are taking damage over there from that. You can see definitely a bad way to lay out a boss fight. There was no reason to have any of this stuff laying around before it started the cutscene in a way that I could see it. Frankly, it would have been easy enough for the cutscene to have started where Brink saw Aldrich right there. Once you opened the door, you had that cutscene. I wasn't able to walk over here and see this, or at the very least, just put all of those things further down in the map. Maybe it's because I'm running this at 1080p, but that doesn't make a lot of sense either, because the Xbox 360 was doing at least 1080i. I'm pretty sure it was doing 1080p. Yeah, there's more chests here, so there was not really a reason to have those other chests, unless that was a argument, or they were trying to give me items in case I ran out of other items. Here you have something glowing green, but I can't click on it, and it's not because my inventory's full. And here we have a waygate to town, which is a free town portal, and then we'll go further downward. I guess that was the introductory tutorial section of going 5 levels down. It's just a boss fight on this level, and really nothing else. And now we're corrupted with the elements. So, okay. There's a new guy here.
Oh, hello.
Hello. Hey there, stranger. Welcome to Torchlight. I'm Hatch, the richest man in town. Well, that's my plan anyway. I haven't worked out all the details, but the key is in this here wand. It opens a portal to one particular spot. I'm sure it must be full of treasure. Problem is, it's also full of monsters, so I can't have a look myself. If you can handle the monsters and bring me the best treasure you can find, you can keep any gold and weapons for yourself. Be careful though, I don't think any other portals will work in there. So what do you say? So this would give me the identify spell for free, big health potion, a big health potion. There's no reason to decline that.
You have begun a new quest.
So let's quickly identify weapons. This would require strength. So I don't think I'm gonna do that. And this wouldn't be as good. Brahms Roughhide Tonic. Drinking that will just increase my defense permanently. That's actually rather nice. So let's just drink that right now. Let's see. This increases your gold find versus mana. So I think that's worth wearing. So we're going from a purple to a green, which is a step down, but so that we find more gold. Put that there. Let's see. We have a shotgun. We've enchanted our weapon, so we're gonna have to wait until it's rather overpowered by something else. Let's see. Increases all physical and elemental damage by 2%. Or plus 2 armor. I don't know how much an armor rating would be worth, frankly. Though, I think I'll stick with what I've got on that case. And that. Plus 2 strength and ice resistance. Whereas over here we have something that does more. Plus 3 ice resistance, plus 24 health. So yeah, I think I'm fine there. We also have 5 health potions, which clearly we don't need that. And we can stack that. And then the leather boots can be sold too. And so now let's go talk to her before we run in here. Let's talk to this guy, actually. More identifying scrolls. 1, 2, 3, 4. Just stay at 20 always. Sell all of these items. I don't know how much these are even worth. 150? So I'm at 3,083. That's not terrible.
Good luck to you.
And we defeated the named boss. So we get this. You've slain the horrible bat creature Varkasir. I can see it in your eyes as soon as you approach. I can imagine that you now imagine the battle now and it will make a fine ballad. Well, the beginning of one at least. I think this collaboration may be a boon for us both. So we're gonna get some armor. And he's gonna give us a new quest. Blah 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 blah. Kill Stonecutter the Stalker. These 5 floors is on the 5th floor. I imagine what we might run into is we may very quickly have to go back.
Good day.
This quest is like really far away from where we are. I don't think I may ever. This may be like the final main story quest or the end of Act 1 as far as quests are concerned.
Hi there.
Let's see, here we have another character that just talks to you for no reason. I kind of had a problem with that in Diablo 2, that there were just characters that were talking to you and wasting your time.
Friend. Brink is dead, my master is lost.
This is clearly the main story, but there seems to be a secondary.
Somehow the blighted ember is fusing with your flesh, changing it. But at
So
least the
there's like
progress is
2
slow.
main story
I
quests
have
that
some
maybe.
knowledge of the crypts below the mine. The Overseer experimented with methods of purifying ember. You may be able to use his knowledge to purge the corruption from you now. Find the Overseer's library. His notes should be there.
Right. So we have to find the Overseer's library. Meanwhile, we're not really going to be able to roll in money to buy weapons, I think, ever. Let's look at this. This is an 8 armor, increase all ice damage by 2%, versus 8 armor, increase all physical damage. So, sell that.
Watch your back.
You could start over if you wanted to, by the way. There's really nothing stopping you from going down to level 1, but I don't know if that really would do you any real favors. Meanwhile, over here, there's still nothing to do. There might be something new by the gambler guy. And I guess if you were rolling in money, maybe you would want to gamble. But yeah, I don't think that's the right move either. This could have been a much smaller city for how it is. The layout here does not change much, if at all, in the rest of the game. So it would have been kind of easier if you could have walked from this central point to all the stores. So put a salesman here, put a salesman here. You can see there's a salesman here. Put this guy here, make it easier. Put this guy here. Bring in these guys so that they are closer to. You don't need to have to click around. So that's basically the first couple hours of Torchlight, and that's where we're going to end this recording. I guess I'm playing mouse and keyboard for the rest of the game. I can't see there actually being a way to play it any other way. It's so silly it doesn't have that controller support when you know that they programmed that. it's certainly not hard to copy and paste your files that you programmed and adapt them to work on a Windows PC compared to a Microsoft Windows Xbox 360. It was all using the same inherent programming language. Well, anyways, that's it for this recording. As always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment, and watch every second of my videos. If you want a friend or follow me on any social media sites, there's a whole bunch of links down below in the description box. And if you want to support me even further, there's a link to Patreon, or you can friend me on Steam and gift me a game off my wishlist. Thank you for watching. Have a good evening.